If you're a female over 45 and running regularly, there's a very high chance you've been told you should be doing strength training. But what actually happens is one of two things. Either you're given a long list of exercises that don't seem connected to running at all, or you try a generic gym routine that leaves you feeling tired and, if we're honest, a bit bored. And neither of those actually make you feel stronger when you run. This is where most female runners over 45 quit. Because strength training for running isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things that support how your body handles the impacts, the load, and fatigue, especially as your body changes through your 40s and beyond. So in this video, I'm going to strip this right back. I'm going to show you the 5 most effective strength exercises we use with female runners over 45 to help them stay pain-free and actually feel stronger and more stable when they run. And as I go through each one, I'll explain what's actually happening underneath. So you're not just copying movements, you're understanding why they matter. So let's get into the first one. This looks simple, but it's one of the most revealing movements you can do. Running is essentially a series of controlled single leg landings. And what this shows you very quickly is whether you actually have control in this position. If your knee drops in, if you wobble, if you collapse into the chair, that's not just happening here. That's happening every single step when you run. And this becomes even more important for females over 45. Because as stability around the hips reduces slightly with age, this is due to changes in muscle and loss of muscle over time. The knee often ends up taking more load than it should. And the knee is not designed to control that movement on its own. So this exercise is really about control. Think of it like landing an airplane. If you come down smoothly, everything absorbs well. If you drop in hard and off balance, something takes a hit. And over thousands of steps, that's where the issues begin to build. Now, let's move on to an area that becomes even more important as you get older. Every time your foot hits the ground, your calf complex is acting like a spring. It stores energy and then releases it to propel you forward. And this system deals with a huge amount of force. We're talking multiple times your body weight on every single step. So if that muscle isn't strong enough or conditioned properly, that load gets pushed somewhere else into the body. And that's where we start seeing things like Achilles irritation or plantar fascia pain or even knee overload, which is why we want to be strengthening these muscles. So if that muscle isn't strong enough or conditioned properly, that load gets pushed somewhere else into the body. And that's when we start seeing things like Achilles irritation or plantar fascia pain or even knee overload, which is why we want to be strengthening these muscles. Now here's the key that most runners miss. You need both variations of this exercise. Straight leg for the gastrocnemius and bent knee for the soleus. And the soleus becomes especially important for endurance running because it's doing a huge amount of work all the time. It stabilizes the lower leg before the rest of the calf and leg propels us forward. And this is where a lot of runners go wrong. They rush these. They bounce through them. They don't use enough control or resistance. But that doesn't build capacity. You need slow, controlled reps, full range of motion, and eventually some added load. Think of this like upgrading your shoes. If the cushioning effect of the soles deteriorates, everything above that has to work harder. Did you know that around 80% of female runners who watch these videos and get value from them aren't actually subscribed? So if you want more content that helps you run stronger and stay pain-free over 45, take a second and hit that subscribe button. Now, we're going to start building strength through a deeper range of movements. And this is where things become more specific to running. Bulgarian split squats. This is where we begin loading one leg through a deeper position with control. And that range matters because when you run, your body is constantly absorbing force in these positions. If you don't have strength there, you compensate. And compensation is where problems start because the load doesn't disappear, it just moves, often to somewhere less prepared to deal with it. And the most important part of this movement is the lowering phase. That's where you're teaching your body how to absorb force properly. So slow it down, stay controlled, and don't rush it. This next one is where a lot of runners suddenly realize what's been missing. We're going to be doing a single leg glute bridge. And this is all about your posterior chain. So lower back, glutes, hamstrings, a little bit of the calves. The muscles that actually drive you forward when you run. But just as importantly, they stabilize your pelvis. And if that's not controlled, everything further down the chain has to compensate. Think of it like a loose hinge on a door. If the hinge isn't stable, the whole system becomes inefficient. And that inefficiency shows up as fatigue or eventual pain. And this isn't about how heavy you go. It's about how well you control the movement. Because if you can't control it here, you won't be able to use it when you're running. Now, this next exercise ties everything together. Let's do some step-ups. This is where strength becomes usable. You're producing force, stabilizing, and coordinating movements all at once, which is very close to what running actually demands. And that's why it transfers so well. But again, the detail matters. No pushing off the back leg, full control on the way up and full control on the way down. Because we're not just building strength, we're building movement quality. And here's the part that most runners never realize. Even if you do all 5 of these exercises properly, you can still end up with niggles, fatigue, or recurring pain. Because strength on its own isn't enough. It only works if your running is applying the right kind of stress to your body. And this is where things go wrong for a lot of female runners over 45. It's not just about strength. It's about how your training is structured around it. Too hard, too often, and often at the wrong intensity. So you build strength here, but undo it out there. And if that part isn't right, this never fully works. So watch the next video, because early on in it, I'm going to show you the one mistake in your running that's increasing your injury risk, even if everything else feels like it's on track.